Hey everybody, I think this is working. Can everybody hear me? Good morning. Just want to make sure that everything is working. Let's see. Bear with me. This is my first time live streaming, so on YouTube. So, okay, it looks like I'm live. Let me just make sure I can hear myself. Yep, I think I can hear myself. I think we're good. Okay, well, welcome. I am Angela. I am a full time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover. And through my channel, I answer your questions and share with you some techniques that I use in my own voiceover business. So it looks like we've got quite a few questions already. So, first and foremost, what I wanted to talk about is one of the main reasons I'm here is because I have been asked a handful of times to come live and do a live Q&A, and also because of teamseas, and it's a collective of a lot of YouTubers and a lot of other people on social media that are trying to raise awareness for teamseas and to clean up our rivers, beaches, and oceans, which is important. Every dollar donated is a pound of trash removed from our waterways. And check out the website when you get the opportunity, teamseas.org. Okay, so let's see here. All right, I'm just going to start answering questions. Okay, in the chat here we have Rob the Maritimer. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Getting a lot of useful tips from your videos. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I am so glad that you are finding some great information here. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm glad it's working. Thanks for watching again. And then we have Pamela. Good morning, Pamela, or good afternoon, whatever it is for you there. Let's see here. We've got, let's see. Oh. Okay, she says, I am waiting on demos to return. I have my EIN. What should I do next? In regards to finding work or moving forward with your business, I'm not sure exactly. I would say, okay, so if you're waiting on demos to be made for you, perhaps, if you have demos being made and you have your EIN, if you have social media presence is something I would definitely recommend, and getting on to a few of the voiceover websites would be very beneficial for you. Oh, hang on a second. I think I'm accidentally deleting people. How is that happening? Okay. Sorry about that. Again, this is my first time. I'm trying to read my chats on my phone, so bear with me here. And then Pamela also says, okay, business license website, sign up to my platforms, or all of the above. It is very easy to become overwhelmed for sure. There is a lot to do in the very beginning when you're setting up your voiceover business, or any business for that matter, any kind of freelance business, because you have to set up the business aspects, and then you have to, you have to market yourself, and you have to find the business. And finding the business is being on all of those platforms that I'm always talking about, ACX, Fiverr, Upwork. There's some of the other ones, voices.com, Voice123. And then there's also social media is just huge for marketing yourself. Get onto Instagram, onto Twitter, YouTube, TikTok even. There are a lot of ways on social media that you can, get yourself seen, make some connections on LinkedIn with some of these companies that may need voiceover. There's a lot of different ways to market yourself, but a website I definitely recommend. It is your home base for people to find you, and a good place to direct clients when they want just general information about you, or an easy way to contact when you're not, directly talking with a client. send people to your website for more information, that sort of thing. A website's very beneficial. Kirk is here. Hey, Kirk. Good morning. Thank you for joining. He says, how long should one wait on Fiverr with impressions and clicks but no orders before changing things up? I usually anytime I make a change on Fiverr, I usually give it a good couple of weeks, because typically, as soon as you make a change, the algorithm more than likely is going to do one of two things. It's either going to promote you more, or it's going to, put you to the back of the pages. But don't freak out if that happens, if you go to the back of the pages, that is, because it tends to shuffle people around anyway. And I think that if more people tend to, like, let's just say, for example, if you changed your thumbnail, right? And all of a sudden your impressions and your clicks and everything just nosedive. I would still give it a couple of weeks, because once people start to see you and start clicking on your thumbnail, the algorithm needs an opportunity to get more data from people looking at your gig, if that makes sense. So if you change your thumbnail and more people are clicking on you because you changed your thumbnail, then that is going to help your stats, and the algorithm is then in turn going to, move you back up to the top of the pages. So long story short, I would just give it a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks maybe at the most. And if nothing changes, or if you keep nosediving, then change it again. But don't freak out. Even if you don't change anything in your impressions and clicks, tank, it's not anything that you are doing or are not doing per se. It's just the algorithm trying to shuffle people around to keep it fair. Like top-rated sellers like myself, we're not always going to be at the very top first page. Sometimes we'll be on page 7. Sometimes we'll be at the very back. It's just, Fiverr trying to keep things fair for everybody and shuffling people around anyway. Sorry for the very long answer. I hope that helped. Let's see. Kirk says, yep, you're on. Thank you. Okay, Rob, the Maritimer says, do you use the DBX 286S for live streaming, but not for videos and voiceovers, since you can edit those in post? My DBX is on for pretty much everything, because it's connected to my interface, and then, well, actually my microphone, and then to my interface, and then into my computer. So it is pretty much being used for everything I do that goes through this mic, or this mic goes through it. You know what I mean? But the only real reason that I have the DBX is because my room is noisy, and it has a very nice noise gate. I do have a fan running in here. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the DBX is mainly used for just the noise gate, really. Let's see. I'm sorry, Kirk. I don't know what is happening with your messages. I don't know what is happening here. I must have inadvertently hit something on your... I'm sorry, Kirk. I don't know what happened to your messages. And then, let's see. Rob says, yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Chandra says, alternative websites to get narration jobs. ACX is getting hounded with scammers. Better yet, any tips on how to keep from getting scammed in this industry? ACX, from my understanding, is really trying to crack down on pirated audiobooks or scammers or, any other, ill-meaning people that are trying to do wrong with someone else's work. But, and honestly, I haven't been on there in a couple of weeks, just apart from, showing people how to navigate the site. But my understanding is that they are really cracking down on these people, and there are fewer selections to be found on ACX because of it. But ACX is not, of course, not the only place to find audiobook work. I find the majority of my audiobook work on Fiverr, and then a close second would be Upwork. And then audiobook work can also be found on, well, there's Findaway Marketplace, which is going to be live here pretty soon. That would be a good place to check out. There's also Spoken Realms. There's Audiobooks Unleashed. There is reaching out to publishing companies directly. There's always Audible Studios. I'm not sure if you can, I know you have to audition and get onto the roster, but I'm not sure if that is something that is, you know, offered remote, you know, if you could be a remote, like in your home studio narrating audiobooks. I was looking into it at one point, but I got sidetracked with something else, of course. It's just the way things go. But I wish I had a better answer for you on Audible Studios. But there are more places to find audiobook work than just ACX, for sure. Another thing that I have found, my YouTube channel here, with all of the information that I offer other audiobook narrators and voice actors, I have authors that find my information useful as well if they're looking into having their books narrated, and they reach out to me and have me narrate their audiobooks. And if any of you are watching, thank you for watching. But there are more ways than just ACX to find audiobook work. Let's see, Pamela, love the videos. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Andrea's here. Hi. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for watching. Gregory. Hi, can I ask voiceover questions here? Yes, you absolutely can. So ask away. Let's see, Pamela, any recommendations for web designer? You know, I use Wix, and I took the time to do it all because I'm one of those people. I wanted to work on it all by myself. I don't know if you can call me a controlling person. Maybe I'm just afraid to outsource. I don't know. But using Wix, it was very easy to create my own voiceover website. It does cost a little bit of money, but I think in the long run, it probably still costs me less than if I had hired someone to design my website for me. And a lot of these website hosts, and I think I did a video on this just a month or two ago, maybe, on the different website hosts that there are. But most of them have templates that you can just apply to your website, like your basic website page when you first, sign up for it or create it. And then from there, you can customize, little bits here and there. But it'll give you a general template onto our whereas to put, titles and subtitles and pictures, and give you recommendations of what to add, which is nice. So, but web designers can be found through those website hosts. Like, for example, Wix has their own team of people that you can hire to design websites for you. Or you can probably even find a website designer on Fiverr or on Upwork, on some of these freelance marketplaces. So there's a few places to go to find a web designer as well. Gregory asks, how do I improve the throw and dynamics of my voice? I think a lot of that has to do with, I know I sit when I narrate, but I know that standing helps you to kind of use your diaphragm, and it really opens up your chest a little bit more to help, give your voice more volume. And I guess I just have that. I guess I just have a loud voice naturally. I don't know, but I choose to sit. But I know there are a lot of people that stand for that reason, to help give them a little bit more volume and, better use of the diaphragm when you're standing. I hope that answers your question. Then Rob says, I think your audio is only coming through the left channel, or does that mean it could be? I'm not sure. I've never live streamed before, so I don't know exactly. It took a lot of tweaking and button pushing and box clicking to get this to run right. So I'm not exactly sure. It could be, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look into that when the stream ends. But thank you for letting me know. Let's see. Media man. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Media man. Thank you for watching. Let's see. How do you search for or identify potential clients that you want to market to? What search words and how do I find them? You can, if you have social media platforms, LinkedIn is a great place to be. I would research some hashtags on LinkedIn. I think that would be a good place to start. If you have a profile on LinkedIn, make yourself a business page. And which actually, side note, LinkedIn Marketplace, is it LinkedIn Marketplace? I think it is. I'm having a brain fart. But that is now available for searching out talent on or through LinkedIn. So if you don't have a business page and are offering services on that business page, and I highly recommend you go in and do that so people can find you and your services a little bit easier. But LinkedIn, if you research some hashtags for, let's just say you want to do some e-learning. So if you go onto LinkedIn, you create your profile page and start punching in some hashtags to search for, and then see what companies come up, and then see what hashtags they're using, or and then start making some connections with those people. Reach out and communicate and interact with them first. I wouldn't. This is just me, but you can do what you want. I wouldn't want to reach out to someone for the first time and say, "Hey, do you want to hear my demo?" They're like, "I don't know who you are." But I would interact with some of these people, make some connections, start conversations, and then at some point I would say, "Hey, by the way, I am a voice actor and I have this demo. Do you have any room on your roster?" I would make connections that way through social media. Is a really great place to be and to make connections with the people that you're looking for. Um, Famicom Mike. Hi, Angela. I've been doing voiceover for 2 years now. Do you know any sites to get work for independent video game studios? That's actually a really great question. Independent video game studios. I find video game work finds me on Fiverr. Apart from that, I don't know. Also, apart from finding them maybe on LinkedIn or social media, or just Googling. If you can find some smaller independent video game studios and reach out to them through their websites, perhaps, send somebody an email, find the appropriate person through their contact page and reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm a voice actor. I have a tremendous range of characters," or, however you want to serve it up, and say, "Hey, would you like to hear my demo?" And just, in the off chance that perhaps maybe you have a need in the future. Something to that effect. That is one way that I would do it. Let's see. Media Manaman. Did I get it right that time? It says, "I'm talking about publishing companies or direct to a business that uses VOs often." Yes, I would also search out on LinkedIn or Google for some of the words that you want to use for the particular type of voiceover that you want to use. Again, for example, I like to use the e-learning. If you search for e-learning companies and sort of like the video game thing, you research these websites and then you go to their contact page and you find the appropriate person to talk to. And same thing, just reach out and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing here. If you ever have a need, I'm a voice actor and here is my demo," that sort of thing. Same thing with publishing companies. You can reach out to them via social media or through their websites and contact the appropriate person. Jobby, hello, thanks for watching. I was thinking about publishing company. I think, did I already answer that? Oh, no. Publishing companies could provide a list of publishing companies. I don't have a list of publishing companies, but if you, again, search like through Google and just search for publishing companies, I'm sure you'll have many come up. There's Penguin, there's Schuster, there's a lot of different publishing companies out there. Just, plug the word into Google and look through some of those There are tons. There are tons of publishing companies. Let's see. Happy birthday, Polly. Thank you for watching. Tips for accent removal. I'm from the South, and while I don't have a very strong Southern accent, I'm told it pops up here and there. Yes, I think with accents, you really just have to practice, speaking without it in whichever accent you are trying for. I know it could be difficult. I know I have just a general American. I don't really have any kind of, well, I guess to some I have an accent, but to myself, I don't have anything. But for someone who is from, maybe has a British accent, it's going to be tough for them to just perform a general American accent without practice. I think it's just going to come down to just practicing, words without that accent. It's probably going to be tough and probably take a lot of practice, but you can do it. Um, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. I just saw your message. You skipped over my question. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this on my phone. It's very small and hard to see. Let me see. Andrea, I don't see a question from you, darling. Let's see. Bear with me here while I saw your hi. Oh, here it is. When creating an account on Fiverr, if you do not have a demo reel because you're just starting out or haven't booked gigs yet, what would you suggest for a voice reel? For Fiverr, without having any work to use as a demo, you can create your own. A great resource is just to get an idea of what to say for scripts. If you go to YouTube and you search for commercials, and then you hit, if you're looking at your YouTube screen, you have the little ellipses, down beneath the video screen on the right side, the far right. If you click on that, some of the time you'll have a transcript available to you. And if you view that transcript of what's being said, you can use some of that verbiage. I wouldn't use all of it, but you can use some of that verbiage to help you create a script, to get different types of commercials or scripts for different types of commercials, like, and would be for a commercial demo, of course, but you could get the idea of something to say for like an intimate kind of commercial, an upbeat kind of commercial, different genre or different types of commercials. And then create your own script and just record something. And if you have the ability, add some sound effects and some music. You can create your own, or you can just make up your own script, Or I've also seen some people on Fiverr just record themselves saying hi and introducing themselves. If you have a web camera, just record yourself. Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for stopping by my gig. And this is what I sound like, basically, something to that effect. Talk a little bit about your gig, your experience, what you offer. And that way they still have a good idea of what you sound like. And you can also explain what your gig entails. So that is another way that you could do that for a demo. Let's see. As Andrea says, or it might have been me because I went over the character number while writing the questions. Oh, could be. I didn't see your question before. Even scrolling back up, I didn't see it. So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Let's see. Bisola Widlin. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you for your videos. They are very helpful. What's your opinion on this? Is it best to stick to a niche, for example, narration only, commercial only, or is it best to be more diverse? When I first started, I wanted to narrate audiobooks, and that was about it. And that's how I got started into doing voiceover. And I think once I got on to Fiverr, if memory serves, I created an audiobook gig on Fiverr, and someone had reached out to me through my audiobook gig and said, hey, do you do, phone messages, or do you do video narration? Do you do, I started to get these questions to ask me if I did other types of voiceover in addition to audiobook narration. And I said, why not? Let's give it a try. So I did, and I ended up loving it. And in turn, of course, that opens you up to more business, opens you up to a wider field of clients. So to answer your question, I would absolutely, if that's what you want to do, if you're open to it and you're flexible, definitely be diverse in your offerings in the realm of voiceover, not just narration, not just commercial, not just IVR. You know, if you're open to it, do them all. But what you are hired for the most is going to be, I think, what's the word I'm looking for? What your money voice is, for lack of a better term, is basically what you're hired for the most. And your clients will tell you through purchasing that particular gig or that particular type of voiceover over and over and over again. And some people prefer longer form versus shorter commercial stuff. I do a little bit of both, but I think for me, it's more of like a 70-30 mix. I do probably 70% of what I do is longer form narration, i.e., e-learning, video narration, training tutorials, workplace videos, PowerPoint narrations, audiobook narration. I do a lot more of long form than I do of the shorter commercial IVR, stuff like that. So to answer your question, I would definitely be diverse if you're open to it. That just it's just a wider presence and more availability to more clients, if that makes sense. Let's see. Kevin again. I hope that's right. I'm sorry. Hey, you made it to the stream. Thank you for making it. I'm glad that I got it to work. Happy birthday, Polly says. Do you have any tips for sustaining your voice after recording content that is a little more strenuous? I've tried everything from tea, honey, humidifiers, and chugging milk until I get tired. No luck. Well, chugging milk is probably the one thing that I wouldn't do, just because it tends to give us sticky mouth, like lactose, and the milk is just not good for voiceover. And I drink it. I have it in my coffee. I use it all the time, and I probably shouldn't, because it just gives you sticky mouth. But rest is a really great way. Water, tea, rest are definitely things that I would do. And especially because I do a lot of long form. So there's a lot of long periods where I'm just talking. And then if you're doing an audiobook with characters, that is even more important. The rest is more important when you're doing, especially if you're like if you're doing a children's book even, or video game characters, anything that really kind of pushes you and your voice outside of maybe your comfort zone for long periods of time, it is important to rest. So with those types of jobs, I would definitely ask for as much time as you can get, that you maybe more than you feel is even necessary, and then deliver early if you can. But make sure that you have ample time to allow your voice to rest, hydrate, tea. There are some throat sprays. I don't have a name of one available for you right now, and I apologize. But if you do look around on Amazon, there are some homeopathic and like medicinal type of sprays and lozenges that help with that. I've not personally used them. I just know they exist. I basically stick to nasal spray, like a saline nasal spray. I have tea, I have coffee, I have lots of water, and then also lots of rest. If you need to take an extra day to give your voice some rest, I would definitely do it. Cindy Neff, don't do milk. Yes, milk is definitely something that is probably going to have the opposite effect. That increases mucus and will clog your vocal cords. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Polly says, well, that makes sense. Yes. Cindy Neff says, LOL. Yes. Andrea says, thank you so much. That was very helpful. I appreciate your content so much. Well, I appreciate you watching. I am just touched that all of you are even here watching this with me, or watching me. So thank you so much. I am just so humbled by everyone. Rob the Maritimer says, how often should you update or tweak a Fiverr gig? I go with, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unless you're updating your audio samples or your demo, because naturally with the progression of, doing this, you get better and better and better. So I would update, at the very least, update your samples or your demo at least, once every couple of months or sooner. I tend to let mine sit a little bit longer just because right now for me it's not broken, so I don't want to touch it. I don't want to give the algorithm any reason to reset me. But I do go in there and refresh my demos every couple of months or so. But I would just say do what works best for you, because as I said before, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but if you tweak your gigs, you do run the risk of your placement in the algorithm changing either for the worse or for the better. But I wouldn't panic if it does nosedive, because the algorithm still tends to shift people around quite a bit. So one day you're on page 1 and another day you're on page 7, and that's okay. That doesn't mean people aren't going to purchase from you. They're just not going to see you as easily right then. So that is when return or repeat clients are really important to not just sustain you, but to give you something to do. And then when you complete the orders for them, I'm trying to word this properly. And when you complete the orders for them and then they give you a 5-star review or a tip or something else positive as a result of the order, then that in turn will help the algorithm push you up closer to the top again, if that makes sense. So I think that answered your question. How often should you update or tweak a Fiverr gig? Yeah, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but definitely update your demos. And also, if keep in tune with trends. If you're looking around at other people on Fiverr, other users, if their thumbnails are starting to change, or if you see a certain trend for formats and styles, I would definitely update your thumbnail perhaps to be a little bit more with the times, for lack of a better explanation. But for me, I don't update all that much. And because, for me, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Although I still get the ebb and flow, everybody does. Ruth Antwi, sorry if I butchered your name. Hi, thank you for all your tips. I am yet to start. Very scared though, because I am African accent with British accent. Am I reading that right? Am not sure if I can get jobs with these. What would you advise me? I would say, as I always say, voice actors represent the world, right? We represent the world and everyone in it. There is voiceover work for every nationality, every accent, whoever you are, there is a need for your voice, the most beautiful, gorgeous voices in the world. And then there's also some very kind of, what's a word? I just had the word in my head. Different sounding voices, maybe raspy, maybe a little bit nasally. Those are also needed. And I'm starting to hear very kind of gritty and different sounding voices for commercials nowadays. I don't know if you guys are listening to commercials. As a voice actor, it kind of becomes ingrained. You listen to everything, to every person that you hear. You're listening and you're like nitpicking. Oh, I can hear mouth noise. You'll do it, I promise you. But if you listen to commercials and stuff going on these days, there is every type of voice. You hear them everywhere. So I would not despair. I would not, count yourself out. I would definitely still get in there and market yourself on Fiverr, Upwork, ACX, anywhere that you want to work, and embrace your accent. Embrace it, because people are looking for you. You just need to be found. And by being found, you need to be on, some of these voiceover platforms or social media. So go out there and have people find you and get started. Don't be afraid. I know it's overwhelming. I know it's terrifying. Believe me, I've been there. And a lot of people watching have been there too. But don't be afraid. Go out there and do it. If this is what you want to do, take that first step. and then take another, and then take another, and you'll be fine. I promise. Okay. Shane Shopner. I am somewhat baffled by RMS and find it next to impossible to meet ACX standards. I have good equipment and a pretty quiet space. My problem seems to lie in the sound filtering. Oh, and then he says, not sound filtering, but rather removing background noise. Yeah. Background noise was one, when I first started, it was the bane of my existence. Background noise was something very, very difficult to remove. And that is one of the reasons why I purchased my DBX 286S, because it has a noise gate on it. It is finding the sweet spot for that noise gate was difficult. But once I found it, I was very, very happy with the end result. And it was another reason why I purchased my shotgun mic, because a shotgun mic is going to only pick up what is directly in front of it. I mean, I can move back here and you can still hear me, but it's nowhere near as crisp as it is directly in front of it. So it's not picking up anything that's behind it, not so much anyway, or to the side. It's picking up mostly what's directly in front of it. So that reduces background noise for me as well, which is why I bought this particular mic. But your RMS is going to be based on mostly on your voice, not so much background noise, unless you have like a really, really like a low like humming, or like a refrigerator or an AC going or something like that. That is definitely going to be picked up. But I don't know what DAW you use, but a lot of DAWs have the ability to pinpoint a specific frequency in your background noise and reduce it or remove it. So that could help also with reducing your background noise. I hope that answers your question. But RMS is difficult to master for sure. But once you understand how it works and what your effects chain can do up front to help you reduce or to kind of level out your RMS. Another thing is compression. I'm sorry I'm all over the place. Everything's just kind of coming to me at random times. Compression, adding a little bit of compression to your voiceover effects chain will help definitely kind of bring the peaks a little bit lower and the lows a little bit closer to level, which will help your RMS. I hope that makes sense. Okay, Rob Puckett says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rob. Cindy Neff says, we will never take you for granted. Thank you so much for your content. And well, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. You guys are going to make me cry. Okay, Syra Kanan. I love your videos, Angela. As a beginner that couldn't change voice into different characters. Excuse me. What genre of book narration should I start with? I think you mean you can't do different character voices, or you don't have the range for character voices. There are a lot of different types of books that you can do. If you don't want to do character voices, say for like a children's book, or for just to differentiate characters in a different, like a romance novel or something like that, there are a lot of self-help books. There's cookbooks. There are how-to books. There are books that have no characters. And so you don't have to worry about having a character voice, right? There are, I'm trying to think of some specific, but mostly like how-to self-help books. I know there's something else I wanted to say, but it's left. It's gone. Maybe it'll come back and then we can revisit this. But character voices is not necessary for every type of audiobook narration. There are different types of genres of books that you can do without needing to have character voices. Kevin again? I hope I'm saying that right. If I may ask, in what ways do you soundproof your studio looking for ideas? My studio is, and I know you're probably not asking about my particular studio, but just to give you a point of relativity, my studio is a storage closet in my house. It's like a 5x6 room. I don't know if they call it an office, but it's way too small for that. So I'm calling it a storage closet. But being that it's kind of close quarters and with all the walls in here, I had to reduce the reflection in this room, meaning the echo, right? Because you are pretty much anywhere I sit in this room is going to have an equal amount of reflection. Anytime I speak, my voice is going to bounce off the ceiling, the wall, that wall, that wall, that wall, this door, and then go into the mic. And that is once again another reason why I purchased this particular mic to help reduce some of that. And then when I went full time, I completely gutted this room and everything in it. And then I bought these moving blankets. I think you could see them. These moving blankets that are in here. And I draped every wall in these moving blankets and the ceiling as well and the door. Mostly the door's got like an old blanket on it and a little bit of acoustic foam, but it's basically just draping all of the hard surfaces in your recording space to reduce reflection, which was my biggest issue. And then also your desk. Don't forget about your desk. Your desk is also flat and hard, so it's going to have the ability to reflect your voice as well. I've got one of those gigantic, like, gaming mouse pads that serves as a soft surface for my desk here, and then it also reduces reflection. Excuse me. For soundproofing, I'm not sure what kind of sound you're trying to reduce. If you have like maybe outside noise or, maybe upstairs neighbors or people on the other side of the wall, that sort of thing, you might need to consider investing in maybe some soundproofing material to drape your walls in or your ceiling in, and then giving it maybe an acoustic treatment. There are a lot of products out there. I'm not really sure what. Nothing's really coming to the top of my head in terms of like inexpensive, apart from moving blankets. And moving blankets aren't really cheap per se either. However, you can get them used on secondhand apps like Macari or what's the OfferUp, or eBay. You can buy them used on eBay and those kind of places for moving blankets. But I'm not sure exactly what kind of soundproofing, but that's what I did in here because my main issue was just reflection. And then when, the kids are playing outside in the playground that's like literally 10 feet outside my studio here, I just edit while they're out there playing or just take a pause if an airplane's going overhead. But if it's constant noise, you might need to address the noise issue if you can. Another common noise source is your computer. The computer fans, they run, they make noise. If you can move your computer outside of your recording space, that was another thing that was a big issue for me. I had to just move my PC tower outside of my room, so that reduced a lot of noise. Okay, Rob, the Maritimer says, this is exactly what I'm worried about. My Fiverr gigs are working, but the quality of my demo video is bad because I made them 2 years ago, and I can definitely make them better now. Absolutely. If your video demos are 2 years old, I would definitely update them, for sure. I think the last time I updated mine was in September, maybe. So I may be due again here pretty soon. And I know it takes time if you don't have the ability and money, if you don't have the ability to make it yourself. But there are some free video software apps out there like headliner.app where you can, plug in little bits of video footage and then your audio, maybe a waveform, some text. It's enough to create some sort of a demo or a video. Or again, you could also record yourself on a web camera saying, introducing yourself, saying, hi, I'm a voice actor. This is how my gig works. This is how you place an order, that sort of thing. But if it's 2 years old, I would definitely update it because I'm sure you sound, if not better than you did 2 years ago now. So I would definitely update it. Regardless, I mean, I wouldn't be afraid of having, your impressions or clicks nosedive or anything after that, because improving your demo is nothing but a good thing, because you're demonstrating how much better you've gotten over the past couple of years, right? And as I said before, there's always an ebb and flow on Fiverr because, again, they're trying to make it fair for everyone. They shuffle people around quite a bit. So if you update your demos, that's always a good thing. And I would always recommend doing that. And then you might even see a couple of orders right after you update it. That's happened to me before too. I had a gig that wasn't doing very well, and I was like, okay, well, what is the problem with this gig? And I said, well, the demo hasn't been refreshed in a while, and the thumbnail hasn't been refreshed in a while. Maybe I'll redo those. And I did, and wouldn't you know, I got an order like within an hour after I posted it. So, it's hard to say what is going to exactly happen once you change anything, but there is the chance that it could either promote you, or you could, drop in impressions and clicks. But if it does, don't despair, because there's always an ebb and flow. You'll always come back up to the top at some point, but you have to keep improving regardless of the fear. You can't let that fear, control your fate. You have to get in there and update your demos and your thumbnails. Anyway, regardless, I would say do it. Brooke Simmons says, "Hi, Angela. Thank you for all your tips on your videos, and thanks for doing this live stream. Do you have any tips for staying motivated on a big editing job? I'm halfway through this audiobook and I'm flagging." Yes, taking breaks for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about. I am in the middle of maybe 3 or 4 books, and I know I have to keep moving because I've got other books waiting, and I do my own editing because I don't know if I'm a control freak, but I don't know. But you have to keep moving. And if you need to take a break, get up, take a walk, get up and take a walk, go take a coffee break, go make, or a tea break, or, whatever refreshing beverage you choose. Go and take a break. Go and watch, a Netflix show, or if you're not home full time, if you're still working the other job and you need to kind of push through things at night, I get that too. But if you're starting to see double and everything's getting fuzzy and everything's starting to sound the same, and you find that you're making mistakes, you need to take a break. Worst case scenario, you ask the client for an extra couple of days. Tell them that you had an issue, or you were exhausted, or you just need a couple more days to get this done. But it's better to take that extra time and get it right than to rush through it and make a bunch of mistakes and have the client be unhappy with the end result. It's always better just to take that extra time if you need it. But take breaks. Do it. We need to, because we're not machines. We're human beings, and rest and relaxation and recharging is something that everybody needs to do, once in a while. I know we push hard. We push hard when we have a business to run, but you also need to relax. You need to take that time to read a book, take a bath, take a walk, take a hike, spend some time with the family. Rest is important. Let's see. Ruth. Hey, Ruth. She says, "Thank you so much for your advice. Really appreciate it. And yes, you got my name right." Good. Good. Thank you so much. Abby Muhammad says, "I thought my headphones broken." No, if you're talking about just hearing it through the left side, someone else had mentioned that earlier. I don't know. It might be, but just getting this set up properly was an adventure. Rob the Maritimer, thank you so much for your insights. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for asking questions and for hanging out with me today. Let's see. Kirk says, "How about another shout out for teamseas? And as always, you rock." Well, thank you, Kirk. And yes, teamseas, definitely at least check out the website for teamseas.org. This is a fundraiser that is going on. It ends January 1st of 2022. The goal is 30 million pounds of trash pulled from our beaches, rivers, and oceans. They didn't want to just focus on the oceans because most of the trash that ends up in the oceans comes from our beaches and our rivers. So cleaning up all three of those is kind of, it just makes sense to do that to prevent more from getting into the ocean into the first place. And yes, I have donated and I recommend that everybody does. It would be much appreciated. Okay, Jacoby, I hope I pronounced that right. How long did it take to go from your first audition on ACX to actually booking one? Sorry if it's been asked before. I was auditioning. It feels like we're always auditioning. We're always doing something with our business. Let's see. ACX, I'm trying to remember. It was a while ago, and my memory is not the best. So let's see. In June of 2018, I signed up with ACX first before Fiverr and anything else. And I think I auditioned, and I was still working full time at the time too, like, like most of us do. But let's see. I want to say it was a month or two of auditioning. I don't know how many I put out. I don't think I put out a lot of auditions, maybe 10 or less in the first couple of months because like everybody else, in the beginning, you're very tentative and you're very reserved and you have that imposter syndrome and you think that you're not good enough and no one's going to like you. Is this even worth my time? Is this going to go anywhere? All of those questions in your head were plaguing me in the very beginning. So I didn't audition as much as I should, but I want to say it took maybe a month or two and somewhere within 10 auditions to land my first audiobook gig on ACX. Brooke says, thank you. I am indeed editing while also working another job, so I think I'm just pushing too hard. Getting annoyed at the sound of my own voice. I'll chill out a bit. Thanks. Yeah, once you get to that point, your own voice is just irritating you and you're making mistakes. Could totally relate to that just recently and just kind of, you make yourself push through just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. I'm just making so much progress. But then in the end, you discover that you're missing mistakes that you should have taken out or, maybe you overlooked an errant noise of some sort in the audiobook or you didn't put enough room tone or too much. It's very easy to make just simple mistakes when you're just too tired, when you're just pushing too hard. You have to just get up, go take a walk, go make yourself a nice coffee. Speaking of which. And take a break. Let's see. Jacoby says, thank you, and you nailed if I can speak, you nailed the pronunciation. Thank you very much. Let's see. I just want to make sure. Okay, I think that was all for the questions at this moment. Let me just go back through here and make sure that I didn't skip over anybody. And if I did, it wasn't intentional. This is my first time streaming live on YouTube. So I am... I don't know what I'm doing. I think I might be... I hope I'm not skipping over anybody, but I'm trying to read the chat comments on my phone, so bear with me. Okay, Sierra? God, I hope I'm not butchering all your names. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Let's see. Eagle Mount. My name isn't actually Eagle Mount, but Tim. Hi, Tim. Thank you for clarifying and thank you for watching. Is getting your Fiverr account set up with PayPal an easy thing? Yes, I believe it was. I'm trying to remember what it took. I think it's just a matter of putting in the email address that you use for PayPal. And then PayPal should pull up and say, as it normally does, hey, do you want to connect with this app, Fiverr? And something to that effect. So it'll go from putting in your email address for PayPal on Fiverr, and then PayPal will verify, basically. And then that's pretty much it, if memory serves. It shouldn't be too complicated, but Yeah, usually linking PayPal to anything doesn't really take much. So to answer your question, no, I think it was fairly simple. I don't think it was too hard. Rob the Maritimer says, "Congrats on nailing your first live stream. Well done." Well, thank you. This was I was having some anxiety about it for sure because I have Zoom meetings with people all the time, but going live on YouTube, there's just so much for streaming, for live streaming. There's just so much, and I'm just so neurotic about getting everything right the first time when it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up things. But in my head, I'm just like, but thank you. I'm glad that everything worked out. All right. So I don't see any more questions. And once again, I'm just going to go back up here really quick just to make sure I didn't miss anybody or accidentally delete you. And again, if I skipped over you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read questions on my phone, and I think I'm inadvertently, my finger is doing things to messages that it shouldn't do. So I apologize. Hopefully my next stream, if I do this again, will be better. Eagle Mount, you're doing great. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So we've been on for about an hour now, and I'm just going to see if there's any more questions coming up. Oh, here we go. Sierra says, and again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this. When you were a newbie in VoiceOver, how long did it take you to edit your recording? Geez, it really depends on the type of recording, I guess. If it's a commercial read, maybe 30 seconds or less, it took me a while in the very beginning because, again, you have the imposter syndrome. You have, you're so reserved, tentative, about everything that you're doing, and you want it to be perfect. And sometimes you have a tendency to over edit when you really don't need to. I would say audiobooks obviously take the longest to edit, depending on the length of the audiobook. It can really vary. But keep in mind, for those of you that don't know, if you're narrating an audiobook, say the audiobook is 10,000 words, just to use an easy number. So 10,000 words equates to 1 hour of finished audio, and that is finished audio. But to get to that finished audio, you're looking at maybe 2 to 5 hours of work, depending on, how streamlined your process is. Because if you think 10,000 words is an hour narrated, you also are going to have another maybe half an hour of mistakes, coughs, noise that you have to pause for, that you have to go back in and remove with editing. And then editing can take you another hour or more, depending on your process. And then the mastering and formatting, whoops, almost knocked over my coffee, can take another hour or two, again, depending on your skill level and your process. So, I don't know what the cat's doing, but it can take a lot of time, to answer your question in the beginning. I'm going off on tangents. To edit your recordings, no matter what kind it is, just because you get kind of stuck with, am I doing this right? I want to remove this noise. You want it to be just perfect. But just try to rein yourself in, because it's okay to leave, don't exactly put in like the same amount of space between each word or each sentence. You know what I mean? Humans are not going to be perfect all the time. They're going to have a little bit of mouth noise, a little bit of breath, a little bit of, variance between sentences, space. I'm going to keep doing this. I don't know if you guys can even see me doing this, but I would just say don't over edit, because it is very easy to do. But I think as you go along and you start to learn what you can and can't do, what your DAW can and can't do, and you start to kind of streamline your process, and what you maybe a better idea of what the clients are looking for, it'll take less time as you go along, as you start to learn and get used to doing these things. So I hope in a roundabout way that answered your question. Let's see. Brooke says, I'd never known this was your first. Yes, this is my first live stream on YouTube. So far we're doing good. Rob says, yes, you're doing great. Thank you so much. Christopher Reed says, a baseball player who fails 6 out of 10 times is considered an all-star. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pamela says, will you be having a course for Adobe Audition for beginners? I have enjoyed this and all the content today. You are a great help, Angela. Thank you so much, Pamela. I appreciate you. A course on Adobe Audition for beginners. I do have a few videos here on my channel about Adobe Audition. I didn't plan on making a course for Adobe Audition, but I suppose if it would be beneficial, then perhaps I should. Tim Tippett's, if you've watched any of my videos or have been following me for any amount of time, I'm a big fan of Tim Tippett's. He is the Adobe Audition guru. You can actually find him here on YouTube at VO Tech Guru. That is his channel name. He has some really great information about Adobe Audition. He also has a website and a course and like a Facebook group. And I'm trying to think of what else here quickly. But Tim Tippett's is a great resource for learning Adobe Audition. Definitely check him out. But I will see if I can figure out a good outline for an Adobe Audition course. It's a great idea. Raven Green says, apologize if you've already answered this, but do you have advice on the Audition Equalizer? Ways to show the best aspects of your voice. I have very harsh S's, even with a plugin. Yes. Sibilance is a real struggle. Well, for some people that have really strong S's, I have a voice that is very sibilant. I had to kind of retrain myself to talk with a softer S. I don't know if you guys can even hear the difference, but my normal speech, I have very sibilant. But if you can train yourself to soften your S's by maybe positioning your mouth in a different way, that'll help reduce some of your sibilance. Plugins are great. There are a lot of great plugins, especially in Adobe Audition. There's the parametric equalizer where you can really seek out what frequency your sibilance lives in and reduce it. And again, VO Tech Guru, Tim Tippett's, his website and his YouTube channel, I believe he has a video on reducing sibilance for Adobe Audition, which is really great. I'd recommend checking that out. But for me, if there's whatever the problem is, I try to find the root of the problem and fix that instead of using plugins or effects, because the more effects that you use or the wetter the effect is, meaning like the more of it that you use can have a tendency to change or alter or destruct your voice. So whatever the problem is that, for me, I've just tried to find the root of the problem and fix the root of the problem instead of using band-aids or plugins for that matter. Let's see. Kirk says, as an actor for the last several decades, I can say imposter syndrome never completely goes away. I don't think it's a bad thing. It keeps you on your toes as long as it doesn't get out of hand. Yeah, it definitely keeps you humble, for sure. But I think to your credit, you're absolutely right. But I think in the beginning, we have a lot more of it. And that, for a lot of people, can definitely hold us back from moving forward and achieving those goals and dreams that we aspire to achieve, for sure. But I still have that too. I still have the times where I'm just like, this client's going to hate this. They're going to want to revise it. They're going to cancel it. I still have that all the time. So you're right. Sira says, yes, you did answer my question. Now I have the idea before I start in this business. Thank you so much. You're so very welcome. I'm so glad that I could help. Raven says, thank you. I've been working on it. I think it's because I used to have my tongue pierced, so my S's are whistly. I'll keep working on it. You know, Raven, my tongue was pierced too when I was in my early 20s. And I haven't had it for probably a good, I don't want to date myself, but for a while. Let's just say it's been gone for a while. And I think when you do have the jewelry in there, it kind of changes, it reteaches you to speak. So I completely know what you're talking about. And now you just have to retrain yourself to speak without it. I don't know if you still have the jewelry or not. Did you say that, or you used to have it? Okay. So yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. You're just going to have to kind of retrain yourself to soften your S's, maybe position your mouth in a way, your teeth are further apart, whatever it is. Just practice. Practice being a little less sibilant. Brooke says, I make a lot of mouth noises. Same. In addition to hydration and similar tips and tricks, I've heard people talk about training themselves out of mouth noises, but that's rarely explained. Can you elaborate? If I knew the secret to reducing mouth noise, I would be a millionaire, let me tell you. Mouth noise is another bane of my voiceover existence. It is just a natural thing. I think some people, regardless of how hydrated or what you use or what you eat, there's a lot of people that say green apples, then tea, and, staying away from dairy products and just I forget what the other things are, but there's specific things you can eat or drink that's supposed to reduce mouth noise. I think for some people it just doesn't really matter, but I can tell you that there are some great plugins. One in particular for me, Isotopes RX9 is the current version, but they have a mouth declick plugin that is available, I think, in their standard bundle and their advanced bundle, and don't quote me on the exact names, but there's typically 3 different bundles of apps for each of the plugin bundles. And usually the middle one and the big one usually have the mouth declick, but the mouth declick plugin has changed my world in terms of mouth noise, because I would say a good 75% of my editing time was like using my healing brush in my DAW in Adobe Audition and manually removing every single mouth click. And it took so much time and drove me just insane. But once I purchased that particular package, I got the advanced version that had all of the goodies in it. But the mouth declick was really one of the things that I really wanted. And I can tell you that is just, oh my gosh, a lifesaver. So if you have a very sticky mouth like me, I would recommend definitely checking it out. Again, it's Isotope. It's IZOTOPE. And then RX9 is the current version of that package of apps. And it's not just mouth declick. There's a slew of other really great plugins to use as well. Okay, so let's see, go down here. We have Raven says, it definitely changed the S and the TH. It's out, but I need to retrain for sure. Yeah, I'm with you. Been there. Christopher Reed says, equipment question. Is that gaming chair you're using good for not making noise? Let's see, can you see? Yeah, this chair is from Secret Lab. It does have a leather seating surface, but I mean, it creaks a little bit when I move, but I'm not really moving when I'm recording. So in that respect, it's not noisy at all. It's very, very quiet and it's very, very comfortable. And I figured when I was upgrading my studio and I went full time, one of the things that I wanted was a comfortable chair. And thought popped into my head, well, gamers sit in their chairs for hours and hours and hours, right, when they're doing their video game walkthroughs, because I'm a nerd and I watch them. So I was like, oh, that would be great for me because my room is too small for me to stand in. There's just so much stuff kind of crammed in here to make this deal work. I have to sit. So I'm like, okay, well, I need something that's going to be comfortable and not make noise and that's going to last for a while, so I figured a gaming chair would be ideal for this purpose, and it is. I'm very, very happy with it. This is my Targaryen gaming chair from Secret Labs. I really, really enjoy it. It was an investment for sure, but I'm very, very happy with it. Brooke says, green apple worked great for mouth noise for about 2 minutes each time. You can only eat so many apples. Yeah. It sounds like I need to upgrade to Isotope RX9 standard from Elements. Yeah. Thank you again. Absolutely. Yeah. If you are even considering upgrading to get the mouth declick, it will change your world if you have excessive mouth noise. I promise you. Let's see. Kirk says, exactly right on the Isotope bundles. It's in standard and advanced. Thank you, Kirk. And yeah, mouth declick is a godsend. Yes, it is. It cut my editing time in half, if not more. Alicia says, I know you mentioned mics before, but is there a difference between getting a $30 or $100 for those starting out? Alicia, I started with a Blue Yeti. Was my very first microphone. It was a USB mic, plug and play, plugged it right into my laptop and started recording audiobooks using that. So, and I know that's not a $30 mic. I'm trying to remember how much I paid for it, but it was, you know, around maybe the $100 range, if memory serves. But if you're just starting out and you have a space that is quiet and there's not a whole lot of reflection going on, you know, like no echo or, you know, major room noise going on or, you know, people running past you or anything. If your room is treated, let me just say, if you have a quiet room and your mic is clear enough without a whole bunch of noise coming through it, because some mics, well, all mics produce their own noise, but some are a lot lower than others. I think I'm going on a tangent too far outside of the question here, but basically, it doesn't matter what mic you start with. Let me just say that. It could be a $30 mic, a $10 mic. It doesn't really matter as long as it suits you, your space, and your voice, and it doesn't create a bunch of noise. And it picks you up, you know, clearly. If it sounds good, then it would be fine. And then as you go along, you can start upgrading, which is exactly what I did. And almost every other voice actor that I know did the same thing. They all started out with a simple USB mic and then upgraded. But be careful with upgrading. It gets addictive. And then you upgrade to maybe a more complicated USB mic, or maybe then you move up to an XLR mic. And then you get, you know, a nice a Sennheiser or a Neumann, you know, and you start to really get into those really cool mics. But to answer your question, no, it doesn't matter how much your mic was to start. You know, as long as it sounds good, it doesn't, you know, it's not all crackly or produce a bunch of noise, you'll be fine. Okay, let's see. I think that is all of our questions. So, and holy Moses, we've been on here for a little over an hour, so I think I'm going to sign off for today. But this was definitely fun, and I honestly thank you so much for everyone who has joined and asked questions. I really, really appreciate it. And this is my last time that I'm going to say support, check out teamseas.org. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.